Welcome back, everybody, to DSP versus the Internet, episode 51 for February 11th, 2024, also known as Super Bowl Sunday. We have about 3 Ultra member submissions to get through, and then we get to the standard playlist where everything's going to be in a random order. So let's see what else people had in store. Remember, if you become an Ultra member of this channel, that's how you are guaranteed to get a video watched every week, okay? What is next?
A wounded cop leaves the hospital in a wheelchair, applauded by his brother officers. But the teenager accused of shooting him is already free. Cameron Williams, known as Sea Blue, is a rapper who used the money he made from a record deal to post $250,000 bail. Look, he defiantly fanned a fistful of $100 bills while making an obscene gesture. Mayor Eric Adams, who gave a eulogy at the...
I don't even, have to continue here just to cite the ridiculous amount of things that are wrong already. That's a kid. That's not an adult. Why was he given a record deal? What fucking moron gave a kid a record deal? Right? Like, where is this? That a child is given a record deal? How is that even legal? Right? I don't get it. He's not an adult. He shouldn't be able to be employed with a record deal. And then the story is that he shot a cop. Oh, I'm so surprised that you gave a child a record deal and a ton of money, and then he acted irresponsibly. I can't believe that happened. That's totally not like cause and effect or anything, right? Right. Yeah, okay. All right, let's continue.
Funeral today for slain police officer Jason Rivera says he is outraged that a repeat offender accused of shooting at a police officer is today walking free on bond. It is further proof that our current system is failing us. And it looks like these cops have had enough of the shoplifting epidemic engulfing New York and other big cities. 2 officers try to subdue a 45-year-old suspected shoplifter in a Marshall's discount store.
Yo, hands on your back!
The suspect appears to reach for one officer's gun. He manages to get free, but he is arrested outside the store. The incident comes after so many brazen shoplifters have walked away with their loot unchallenged.
It's time something happened. It's great the cops got involved. The stores have to take it more seriously because it does often involve violence.
And talk about brazen. This suspect was caught on camera allegedly stealing a 70-inch TV from a Target store in Seattle. No way can he slip this giant screen.
Seattle? Oh, what a shocker that this happened in Seattle where I live.
Under his jacket, but he doesn't seem to care. It's reportedly the 22nd time in just 3 months he has stolen items from the same store. He actually engages in a tug of war with security guards and wins.
If you want to stop the shoplifting in Seattle and anywhere else that this is happening in such huge numbers, you actually have to enforce the law. You have to make arrests. You have to make it clear that you will, in fact, prosecute people.
55-year-old John Ray Lomack was arrested later, but get this, he was released without bail.
Yep. What did I say? I've been telling you guys about this in this area. This is how it is. These people, they get away with whatever. Either they don't get arrested at all, so they just keep doing it. If they get arrested, they get released without bail and nothing ever happens. They're just right back out on the street and they do it again. And what's happened is there's actual crime rings now where these people, like that guy, likely, did he steal that TV and keep it for himself? No. He'll steal that TV and take it to one of these houses that literally now is a house of stolen goods. And they've been finding these in these homes, millions of dollars of stolen goods that then they sell on the black market. So it's a fencing operation. You got one person who steals all the shit and then someone who fences it out and sells it all on the cheap. And they're making ridiculous profits. And this is what happens again, like you said, when you don't enforce the law. No one's getting arrested. No one's going to jail for it. It's just all allowed. It's constant. That's the extreme case. The more common case now, if you just go to any mall around here, you see people walking around with big backpacks and duffel bags and just walking through the mall. And the only reason they're there is to steal. So they walk right into a store, right off the rack. They grab clothes, shove it in, walk right out the door. No one does anything. They got cameras. No one researches that or prosecutes. Again, last year, I had a tire stolen off of my car. My wife was at work. She comes out. The car is up on a jack with our tire completely missing. We reported it to the police. The police never even followed up. They never even contacted us and followed up to investigate the theft. They didn't care. So how will things ever get better, honestly, right? How? I honest question, right? I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing to stop this if the law isn't taken seriously, right? I don't know what else to say. Okay. Anyway, so there you go. It is what it is. Plain as day. Real report. And that was 2 years ago. It's only gotten worse in the last 2 years, by the way. Just for the record. So.
None of this is real.
Welcome, everyone. It's time to see some raw, real honesty.
Oh, no. So, yeah, Lady Charisma says, when I was working at Target, someone was stabbed when someone tried to stop someone from stealing. It's not worth to stop it for someone $50 of goods. It's not the responsibility of the retail worker to stop the theft. A lot of these companies act like that, too. They'll be like, oh, what you should do is if you see someone stealing, go up and customer service them. What? If you see someone breaking the law, do you now go up and put yourself at personal risk to be assaulted by that person? Why put them in a desperate situation? No, the police should be called and the person should be arrested by the person who has the legal authority to apprehend them. You shouldn't expect your worker who gets paid likely minimum wage to go up there and risk their personal safety for something being stolen from your billion-dollar store. That's fucking ridiculous that they would ever ask an employee to go do something about that. Anyway, let's continue. Call of Duty goes to Honest Con. So I guess what this is going to be honesty about Modern Warfare 3, huh?
Amen.
Okay.
Dave Shelby, welcome to Honest Con. What can you tell us about recycling a live service game?
First of all, Jeff, it is awesome to be here. I've got a lot to get off my chest. Modern Warfare 3 this year is complete bullshit. It's actually just a DLC patch for Modern Warfare 2.
There you go.
Lipstick on a pig, yeah? At least that's what my team thought we were working on. But you know Call of Duty will never disappoint you when it comes to disappointing you. We're shipping 16 multiplayer maps, all from the original that we should have included in the first place, and it'll cost you $70.
Astronomical. Okay, set it up for us, Dave. Give us a glimpse into the future of the franchise.
You all need to realize that we're now in the TikTok era. So if Fortnite does anything, we are going to try copy it.
There you go.
This is our largest bundle buying simulator yet. The whole game is filler content for live service. The only focus now is to retain engagement and drive microtransactions.
Yep.
But hey, you can slide cancel now.
Yeah. Yes, let's talk a bit about the campaign, Shelby. Warzone will obviously factor into this as it continues to slowly consume the game like a malignant tumor. Tell us a bit about what is the storyline. What can we expect from the campaign?
Yeah, so for the first time for Call of Duty this year, we're doing a direct sequel to a sequel of a reboot. It'll probably take you longer to install the game than it will to play through if you don't count the cutscenes.
Nice.
We're letting AI script everything, and boy, did it make our heads spin. While we were optimizing the storefront, it decided to train its Makarov module on Ben Shapiro. Our campaign is cringing through the cutscenes. The dialogue choices don't matter. Then just when you think you're in the middle of a story, boom, end credits slap you in the face.
Nice.
It's around then that you'll realize you were basically just playing a solo Warzone map with bots. When it decided to kill Soap again, I was like, well played, dude. No human writer would ever do that.
Yeah, Soap was a real kick in the nuts.
I know, right? Nothing was at stake. Nothing has resolved. But don't worry, important plot points will play out in future seasonal cutscenes and Warzone events. And when the AI inexplicably brought Soap back from the dead as an operator skin for Season 2, I was like, chef's kiss, man, chef's kiss.
Well, thanks for the heads up, but shouldn't I still play multiplayer to hang out with friends as COD intended?
Jeff, my sweet summer child. Something you need to remember is that all warfare is based on deception.
That's right.
And we're still the best war game on the market. These are some of the publicly available patents you can all go view on Google right now, and they're a real eye-opener. We've allowed our online multiplayer to evolve into a deeply immersive casino-style experience that weaponizes manipulation.
Yep.
Can you give me an example?
We just saw a video about this a few weeks ago on this very show, where their patents have actually shown that they have ways to make the multiplayer completely unfair, so you keep playing it. Here we go. Will they explain it here?
These patents say we can use your camera for biometrics like facial expressions, body language, even sweat to figure out how much you liked your last run to optimize replayability for our whales. From pairing new players with experienced players who buy bundles to create FOMO, to rewarding new spenders with easy lobbies, to give them an extra lick of dopamine. It's called engagement-optimized matchmaking. Think of it as skill-based matchmaking that is so strong it'll ignore your latency.
There you go.
Ever read our TOS, Jeff? Lobbies could be easily populated by AI bots with dummy data harvested from other players to make it look like they're real humans. They'll even mimic friendliness. Friends, Jeff. Comrades, the whale holy grail. These bots could have a geographic location, gender, income level. I could go on. Facts, Jeff. We don't have to make a good game. We have to release a regular game. Once you've been playing long enough, it becomes a habit. You'll keep buying and playing the game even if you don't enjoy it. And all we have to do is pump out daily, weekly, and monthly challenges to keep you spending. Don't take my word for it. Ask the thousands of people doom scrolling the COD subreddit right now.
Jeepers, Dave, I am not going to touch that, all right?
I'm not going to touch that.
Away. And now it's time for an Honest Con banger.
Big Snoop in the house.
Snoop Dogg in the fucking game for no reason.
Yo, my dizzles, you know we'll never disappoint you when it comes to disappointing you. But I think we're still better than Fortnite. Ain't Fortnite. Better than Fortnite.
That's great.
Yeah. Ow, my dizzle.
My dizzle.
Like a bong hit so loud, COD's the king, Fortnite's just the crowd. Watch teammates get wrecked. Press F for respect. We can't make a new campaign. We're too busy cashing your checks. But I think we're still better than Fortnite. Now watch us teabag lifestyle.
Hit that bong, Snoop.
Wow. Yeah, it was funny. I remember when I first started playing Modern Warfare 3, there was Skeletor everywhere. I was like, why? Because Skeletor was a stupid DLC pack for Modern Warfare 2, and it's the same game. So the DLC carried over, and you could use Skeletor on day one. And I was like, what the fuck is going on in this game, right? This is great. I mean, what they do is they take the real dialogue from an event, and they use AI to change it to say what's really going on. And 100% this is right. I mean, this only has 29,000 views. This probably deserves like 2.9 million because it's so honest about the game, right? It's pretty funny. I like that one. Okay, last one for Ultra members. Then we go to standard member submissions.
Valentine's Day.
What's
We
that?
all know it as a time to celebrate romance and love.
Is this
But
AI
the
generated?
origins of this festival of roses, chocolate, and Cupid
It is,
are
isn't it?
actually
It's
quite
AI
dark.
generated.
In fact, bloody. So what exactly is the story behind this lovey-dovey holiday? We'll have to take a trip to ancient Rome. But before we get going, please like and subscribe.
What's the name of the channel? History, Biography, Mythology? I wonder if this is real, because it sounds like it's AI generated, doesn't it? The voice and the transition style and everything. So I wonder if this is an AI video. And I wonder if it's true or they made it up. I guess we'll see.
Ancient Rome, a place of diverse, rich culture and history, inspired by the many gods, Jupiter, Neptune, Mars, Venus, and more. There were so many festivals in ancient Rome. But today, we'll be taking a look at the festival of Lupercalia, celebrated from February 13th to February 15th. Lupercalia was proto-Valentine's Day.
Okay.
But it definitely wasn't celebrated the way it is today.
What happened? It faded to black and then it came back. What the hell? Was that an AI glitch? Maybe it was. It faded to black for no reason, came back and continued like nothing happened. That was like an AI glitch.
Lupercalia was a fertility festival dedicated to Faunus, the Roman god of agriculture, as well as to the Roman founders Romulus and Remus. To begin the festival, members of the Luperci, an order of Roman priests, would gather at a sacred cave where the infants Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were believed to have been cared for by a she-wolf or lupa.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they weren't cared by that that anime she-wolf that we just saw. This is totally AI. It didn't even understand the context of the wolf and it gave it like an anime wolf.
For fertility and a dog for purification. They would then strip the goat's hide into strips, dip them into the sacrificial blood, and take it out to the streets. Men sacrificing goats and dogs. Creepy, but okay, I get it.
What?
It was old times.
Why is that like a VHS tape? Why did they just act like that's a VHS tape? See? This AI, it took like these tropes of videos and put them all together, but there's no rhyme or reason why it did it. It faded to black and came back for no reason. Now it's got a VHS tape style. For what? What is it doing this for?
But no, it doesn't end there. After the sacrifice of the goat and dog, men would whip women with the bloody hides of the animals they had just slain. And to put this more into the real atmosphere and picture, the Romans would be intoxicated and without clothes, and far from being fearful, Roman women would line up for the men and welcome the touches of the hides, because it was believed to make them more fertile in the coming year.
Right.
And this spine-chilling
Genius.
festival actually included a matchmaking lottery, in which all the young women in the city would place their names in a big urn. The city's bachelors would each choose a name and become paired for the year with his chosen woman. These matches often ended in marriage. The ancient Romans may also be responsible for the name of our modern-day love. Emperor Claudius II executed 2 men, both named Valentine on February 14th of different years in the 3rd century.
What? He executed different men named Valentine, but on the same day? What? Is this true? Or is this all made up? Now I gotta ask, right? Is this literally 100% fabricated video by AI? I find it hard to believe he murdered 2 people both named Valentine, but on the same day on 2 different years. That sounds stupid. That doesn't sound realistic at all.
Honored by the Catholic Church with the celebration of Saint Valentine's Day. Hold on. What?
What? What is this?
How did we just go from pagan Rome to Christianity? Well, after Christianity spread to Rome and other lands, and Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, he and the church adopted existing pagan rituals and customs into Christianity in order to convert more pagans. For example, Christmas was originally a celebration known as Saturnalia. But Valentine's Day wasn't something that was galvanized into Christianity during the time of Constantine. It all happened in the 5th century. So let's fast forward to where it all started. The execution.
Why did he just have a Metal Gear Solid sound effect?
The Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 different saints named Valentine, all of whom were martyred.
This is so
One legend
weird.
contends that Valentine was a priest who served during the 3rd century in Rome.
Why did it fade out?
When Emperor
Why did it fade out and come back? What is going on?
Soldiers than those with wives and families, he outlawed marriage for young men. Valentine realized the injustice of the decree, defied Claudius, and continued to perform marriages for young lovers in secret. When Valentine's actions were discovered, Claudius ordered that he be put to death.
So this makes sense.
Still,
This would make sense that there's a Christian priest who's going against the rules of the ruler. He's still creating marriages. So basically, he's like the love guy. If you're in love, I'll still marry you even though it's illegal. And then he got caught out and executed for it. That would make sense if that's what really happened. Okay.
Others insist that it was Saint Valentine of Terni, a bishop, who was the true namesake of the holiday. He too was beheaded by Claudius II outside of Rome. Other stories suggest that Claudius may have been killed for attempting to help Christians escape harsh Roman prisons, where they were often persecuted. According to one legend, an imprisoned Valentine actually sent the first Valentine greeting himself after he fell in love with a young girl, possibly his jailer's daughter. Before his death, it is alleged that he wrote her a letter signed "From Your Valentine," an expression that is still used today.
So his real name was Valentine, and he said "from your Valentine," meaning like I'm yours. And now people use that as saying "your Valentine." It became a common saying of, you know, romance during Valentine's Day. That's interesting. If this is all true, this is interesting, but I don't know if any of this is true. This could all be invented, right?
Now coming to the time of Pope Gelasius I, he muddled things in the 5th century by combining St. Valentine's Day with Lupercalia to Christianize the pagan holiday and bring in more converts. But the festival now was more of a theatrical interpretation of what it once had been. But at least they put their clothes back on.
Why was The
Around
Rock
the same
there?
time, the Normans celebrated Gallatin's Day. Gallatin meant lover of women. That was likely confused with St. Valentine's Day at some point, in part because they sound alike. As the years went on, the holiday grew sweeter. Chaucer and Shakespeare romanticized it in their work, and it gained popularity throughout Britain and the rest of Europe. During the Middle Ages, it was commonly believed in France and England that February the 14th was the beginning of birds' mating season, which added to the idea that the middle of Valentine's Day should be a day for romance. The English poet Geoffrey Chaucer was the first to record St. Valentine's Day as a day of romantic celebration in his 1375 poem, Parliament a Fool. Writing for this was on St. Valentine's Day, when every fool cometh there to choose his mate. Valentine's
spelled it all
greetings were
wrong,
popular as
unless-
far back as the Middle Ages, though written valentines didn't begin to appear until after 1400. The oldest known valentines still in existence today was a poem written in 1445 and 1415 by Charles, Duke of Orleans, to his wife while he was imprisoned in the Tower of London following his capture at the Battle of Agincourt. The greeting is now part of the manuscript collection of the British Library in London, England.
How do you read that shit? So basically, it started off as a Christian, priest was marrying people against the emperor's wishes, and he was basically imprisoned and eventually executed for it, so he became a saint. And then over time, it was poets and people into pop culture stuff that romanticized the holiday as a day for love and romance, and that's how it became what it is today. All right, fair enough. I get it. I don't like the AI style video. I think it's obnoxious. You can tell there's a lot of things there that a human would do better. And this AI thing is just slapping stuff together and not really understanding its tropes. Like when it started playing the VHS overlay, like it totally didn't understand why that should be used. It just used it for the sake of using it in a video. I'm like, this whole AI stuff, man, I don't know. Some of it's very useful. I'm using, some AI stuff when it comes to my videos on DSP Throwback right now. But in general, that was bad, right? Like, that wasn't quality stuff, right? All right, anyway, that is it for our Ultra member submissions for the week. And we're now going to go to the standard playlist, guys. Let me just sync that right now. And we have way more videos in the standard playlist this week. Okay. I'm going to give you guys one guess who's probably submitted this video. I actually don't know for sure, but one guess who probably submitted the video about why Singapore is insanely well designed. I wonder who would have done that, right? All right, so now we're going to, this is standard member submissions for the week. This is randomized order. So let's start with this, and probably after this we'll split the part, and then we have 3 more parts coming. Okay? Thank you guys for watching. Let's roll right into it.
Is Singapore's metro system. It serves 2.1 million passengers per day and stretches 200 kilometers. And this is LA's metro system. It serves 178,000 passengers per day and is 157 kilometers in length, which doesn't make sense. I mean, how can two places with population sizes that are so similar have so different ridership on their metro systems? Well, it has to do with Singapore's amazing design and incredible public transport. You see, while these two systems are roughly the same length, train frequency is very different. Singapore's metro trains come every 2 to 3 minutes during rush hour,
so
and every
fast.
5 to 7 minutes at off-peak times. In LA, it's a different story. Here they come every 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the time. Which isn't great, but that's just because people aren't using them. So why are so many people using Singapore's metro system and not LA's? Well, this is where we get into the ingenious design of Singapore's metro. To show you what I mean, here's the map of Singapore's metro system I just showed you, but overlaid on a map of the population density of the city. And as you can see, the metro system serves all the key areas, but most importantly has a ring that goes through nearly every high population area, serving people who want to go from one side of the city to another rather than having to go through the city center, which isn't the case with LA's metro system. As you can see from this map, where I've done the same thing, overlaying the metro system on top of a population density map. Clearly, this system is good at moving people to and from the city center, but not from one edge of the city to another.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Because there's a central hub out of which they built. For example, in New York City, there's Grand Central Station. This is the station where all the stuff focuses. You've got all the trains, taxi cabs, and other rides, plus even like the expressway to get to like to the airport and stuff is all based off of Grand Central Station. Okay? Likely what happened is they built that station first when they were settling there. That was the major hub. Then as they expanded throughout the state, then they built these other hubs of transport, and then they connected them. So probably with LA, that's exactly what happened. They had their central hub, so that's why everything goes there, and then they expanded outward. But with Singapore, they probably designed it all at once, where everything was mapped out and designed properly. So now there's not one central place. It just goes through every high population place fast, and that's why they can be more efficient. I totally get that. It's basically just more well-designed. But this is common that happens, for example, here in Washington. Our infrastructure when it comes to things like public transportation and our roads is way better than the East Coast of the United States. Why? Because the East Coast was settled first, so they didn't have the ideas, they didn't have the modern technology to do that better. When they came out here and they settled Washington many, many years later, they had the experience and better techniques. So here, we don't have giant traffic jams all the time. We don't have roads that are way too small and confined and crammed because the infrastructure was designed better. Singapore was designed way after a lot of other major places in the world. So they took the mistakes of a place like LA, and instead, when they designed the Singapore infrastructure, they did it right the first time. You see? The problem is, how would you fix LA? You would have to shut down the entire transportation system and start over and start from scratch, and now people can't get around. So because of that, they can't do it. So they're stuck with their outdated, improperly designed infrastructure, you see? It's kind of interesting. But I'm going to say something else, too, and I don't know if they're going to discuss it here. Again, we already know about this, but in Singapore, the laws are way more strict. Some people, they say they're more draconian, but there's way little crime in Singapore. So when you're on public transit, you don't have to worry about you're going to get robbed or beat up or something awful is going to happen when you're on public transit. You totally have to worry about that in major American cities like LA or New York. You're always worried when you're on public transit. Someone's here to rob me. Someone's going to stab me. Someone's going to fucking hold me up. So because of that, there's an element where a lot of people don't use it if they don't have to, right? So that's a lot different. If you just trusted that everything where you lived was completely safe, you'd probably be more apt to use the public transportation system then, right? That's interesting.
For the much lower ridership of the LA Metro. And just to highlight how much further ahead Singapore is than LA, their official master plan states that they will install imaging sensors and laser scanners below trains to monitor track conditions in real time, to know exactly when repairs are necessary,
way more
avoiding unnecessarily long delays and downtimes. But I think it's time we discuss the fascinating car situation in Singapore. See, here a Toyota Corolla costs $99,500, which admittedly is very expensive, but that is by design. And to understand why a Toyota Corolla is so expensive and how it contributes to the insanely good design of Singapore, you just have to look at this map. See, Singapore is an island located here between Malaysia and Indonesia. The country is home to over 5 million people on just 719 square kilometers of land. To put that into perspective, that's half the size of Los Angeles, but with 1.7 million more people. This just goes to show that Singapore has designed its infrastructure to make the most of its small footprint, making it one of the best designed cities in the world. But of course, with such limited land available, the city has taken a unique approach to achieve such success, as Singapore uses a quota to keep the number of passenger cars on the roads stable at around 600,000 vehicles. To enforce this quota, drivers must buy a 10-year certificate of entitlement, also known as a COE, for the right to use the country's roads. At auction, the COE currently runs around $58,000 for a small car or nearly $80,000 for a larger one. That means drivers pay a lot more for the car up front, but there are still more, as the total cost of owning a Toyota Corolla over a 10-year period is nearly $150,000, which is of course achieved by having the car itself cost about $99,500.
So you're talking, here in the United States, when you buy a car, you buy the car, but that's it. All you got to do is fuel the car, insure the car, and you can drive it anywhere you want, and there's no problem. What they're saying is in Singapore, not only do you have to buy the car, which is more expensive in Singapore to buy, then you have to buy these 3-year contracts to be able to drive it, and those cost like $50,000 each. So you're by the end of 10 years of owning a car, you've probably paid $250,000 to $300,000 for it. So what does that mean? It means you ain't driving a car unless you have to. So you're going to use the public transportation. That's the way they've built it. It's kind of like a force you to do it system. Now here's the thing. Singapore is insanely well designed. Do you agree with that? Some of you might say right now, well, I don't like that. Because what Singapore is doing is they're constricting the lives of their people. They're basically making it that it's not economical to drive a car and forcing people to use public transit. And I want choice. I want freedom in my life to do things how I want. Maybe I want a car and I just can't afford it now because of the way Singapore is set up. So you might completely disagree with this, and you have the right to, you know, because some people here, I know right now in the chat are like, wait a minute. No, that's ridiculous. You know, we're Americans. We wouldn't want restrictions on our lives like that, right? And in Singapore, they constantly have restrictions on their lives. That's why they have crime that's so low. That's why they don't have tons of pollution and littering and stuff in their society. That's why they don't have rampant drug use and all kinds of theft and crime and things like that. At the same time, your life is constricted via things like this. Imagine that. Like, I bought my car in 2017. It's now 2024. By now, I would have had to not only buy my car, but spend an extra $100,000 to drive it if I lived in Singapore. That wouldn't have been economical for me. I probably would have been using public transit too. So there you go. You're being forced into not being able to have the freedom to live your life the way you want, but there's a trade-off with the country is safer and cleaner. So everyone's going to have a different opinion about that. Some people will be like, well, I'm okay with that. And others will be like, no, I hate that. I hate that idea, right? That's very interesting. Anyway, I think that's where we're going to leave this video. It's long. It's a 13-minute. We only watched 3 minutes, and already we learned the gist, and I'm fascinated at that. But I think that's where we're going to leave it for now, and we're going to split the part. All right, guys, so thank you very much. Hope that you guys are enjoying DSP versus the Internet episode 51. With that, we're halfway there, but we got 3 more parts to go. So I'll be back in the next part, and see you then.